Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, to give you your daily fix of football chat from the morning newspapers and the stories emerging throughout the day. The main talking points tonight: Hibs have the chance to go second in the Championship table if they can overcome Falkirk. Rangers are determined to land the Petrofac Training Cup after 3 failed attempts. And Mixu Patalainen says any new players in at Dundee United will have to be exceptional. That's just a few of the topics we'll be talking about. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and our bootroom guest is a former United player.
The Bootroom, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Former Dundee United and Kilmarnock player Andy McLaren. I'm sure there's a few other clubs in there that I haven't actually mentioned on the way down, Andy, but nevertheless, it's always good to mention the ones that you were strong at. And of course, Ruffy, today is a very, very special day with memories of yourself. This is a very special day in your history, Ruffy.
Yes, I was here, not this particular day, but the date, yes. It was when Partick Thistle won the League Cup 4-1, quite convincingly.
Well, I thought I'd throw that at you, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that I was actually talking about. That undoubtedly is coming in the next few days. But do you know what today is? Why is today so special for Alan Ruff, this particular date?
No, you have to tell me that one.
Okay, this is the day that you signed for Partick Thistle from Sighthill Amateurs.
It certainly was, wasn't it? Yes, I remember it was Scott Simon.
Look at that, Ruffy. You're looking fantastic there, aren't you?
I don't think that was when I signed.
No. To be fair, that would have been in black and white, Ruffy, and we didn't have that photograph.
Yeah. Well, that's, just say that no goalkeeping gloves. That just showed you what goalkeepers had to put up with the way back then. But it was a good time for all.
Yeah, absolutely. And no connection with this whatsoever. I know a lot of people, certainly on the news broadcast, warn people if there's flash photography, but that was a good photograph of Ruffy. I might as well warn you now of something that's quite scary. We just thought we'd throw this in anyway, so have a look at it. Whoa, what happened there? There you are. There's the honey monster if ever I've seen one. Ruffy,
yes,
that is mental.
I've no excuse for that at all. It's absolutely horrendous.
And that's only last week.
It was, but
before you make up on it,
it was a style, it was a fashion.
Yeah,
everybody had them. Name me 5 people who had them.
Yeah.
5 people.
Oh, well,
big
Danny
one.
McGrain. Asa Hartford.
Yep.
Graham Souness.
Roy
Aitken, good shout, Andy.
Davy Provan.
Yeah.
And Kevin Keegan, obviously.
Yeah. What more can you ask? Terry McDermott.
Yeah,
what more can you ask for? Andy, you just decided to stick with the jet black hair until eventually you decided to grow old gracefully.
18.
Let's talk football now, because of course this is a chance for Hibs to put a little bit of pressure on. There's a game in hand, Andy. Falkirk's not going to be easy, but if they're going to show their title credentials, Hibs have to win this one tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think they need to go on a run to try and get as close to Rangers as they can. Maybe put a wee bit of pressure on, as you said. But as you say, it's not going to be easy. I think they've struggled the past couple of seasons against Falkirk. I think last year, I don't think the results were that great, so it'll be a hard one. But you say, I think it's important to get the win. Yeah,
and the other thing about it, Ruffy, I was looking at the team and the way that Hibs are playing now, and the one thing about them, they're strong in the middle of the park, and if Malonga's on form, we were speaking to a number of Hibs fans the other night there, they were talking about Malonga. When he's on form, he can be devastating. When he's not usually have to struggle to find him on the park.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's his work rate. There's no doubt about it. He's got ability and he can score terrific goals. But sometimes when you go to places like Falkirk, as Andy will tell you, you need more than that. When you're not scoring, you've got to have some kind of work rate. You've got to be part of the team. And that's where he lets himself down. But it is going to be a difficult game. But you're right, Alan Stubbs has flooded the midfield with tremendous players, McGeer, McGinn, who all want to play football. And I think that'll be the attractive side of the Hibs team. But at the end of it, you need goals, and you need the people like you and Malonga, Cummins, coming in with them.
Yeah, well, they've got options, Andy, and I think that's a good thing about it. Ruffy alluded to the midfield there. You've got McGinn, you've got Fivey, you've got Henderson, you've got McGeoch. So there's options in the middle of the park. And also Keatings likes to be an out-and-out striker as well as Malonga and Cummings.
Yeah, I think, listen, you're not going to get close to Rangers with only 2 people scoring as well. I think in midfield have got to maybe chip in with a few more goals as well. Wee boy Cummings. I mean, I think they'll need somebody to get 20-25 if they're going to get close to Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those games I'm going to go along to, Ruffy. I mean, I know every now and then we like to go to as many games as we possibly can. So I thought I might head along to Falkirk and see the strength of Peter Houston's side. I mean, we're almost talking about Hibs as if it's all about them, but, you know, in essence it's not. Falkirk got a late one at the weekend, so they'll be looking to build on that as well. And I like the look of them. The one player that I always like watching is young Craig Sibbald.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly a player that we, in numerous occasions, of every time we see him, we say he's got to go to a bigger stage. No disrespect to Falkirk, but he looks as if he's the kind of player who could step up. And in light of all the other players who have left Falkirk, they have a great machine of turning up players. And I think when Peter was on the show, one a year, you know, to bring money into the club, just to bring more players in, and that's the theory there, and it works. But you know, I always think Falkirk as a stadium is a great stadium to play in. The surface looks magnificent, and when there's a good crowd in there, there's a good atmosphere.
Yeah, and of course from time to time when you've got the experience, and this might be the key when we're talking about Dundee United later on, it's good to have the experience like a Lee Miller, and of course you've got John Baird there, who's a different type of striker, Andy.
I think that's vital. You speak about that. It's all right flinging young boys in, but they need somebody to learn off as well. You know, it's you get very few teams with 11 like youngsters. You know, there's even the great Man U teams. They had that spine, that bit of experience through the middle. You know, it's as I say, it's easy just to put young kids in, but they've got to learn as well. And I think you need a bit of experience thrown about them for them to feed off and learn their trade. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a good point you make, actually, on the class of 92. Everybody was thinking when Alan Hansen said you can't win anything with kids, Ruffy. 4 or 5 of those youngsters come into a side that had the likes of Pallister and Bruce in there, Cantona that could guide them all the way as well, and Ince.
Yeah, and it's a good way to if you can get them all come through at the one time, you know, and if you can get them in there and holding down a first team place, that's where you get the benefit of it. A lot of managers say now, oh, you can't put a kid in you can put them in for a wee while, but you've got to take them out because the pressure's too much. I certainly would leave them in. If they're playing well, why take them out?
Yeah, absolutely. The other match, Rangers want to try and win the Petrofac Training Cup. They've had 3 goes at it, Andy. It hasn't worked out for them this time. The reward of defeating Livingston, if they can do that, will be St Mirren lying in wait.
Yeah, I think it's one they want to win. They've had 3 goes at it, as you said, and there's maybe a couple of embarrassments in it, if I've been quite honest. So I think new manager, and he'll be looking to get the first bit of silverware, won't he? You know, I think it's quite important for them to get a bit of silverware as well.
Yeah, this time around, Ruffy, I mean, I think all eyes on Waghorn. I'd be hard pushed to think of anybody that's going to chase him for the Player of the Year when the nominations eventually come around, because he's on fire. I mean, he didn't let the disappointment of missing the penalty affect him when the corner eventually came in the last seconds to win it at the weekend.
Yeah, again, he's one of the players, you know, that has come into the limelight at Rangers, you know, and we've said it on numerous occasions. There's lots of players go to like Celtic and Rangers and it doesn't work for them, but he certainly is scoring goals, there's no doubt about that. You can see the confidence in his play, and yeah, you're right, in that division I can't see anybody beating him.
Yeah, and just before we go to the break, Ruffy, who'd have thought Ramon Vega is contemplating putting himself forward for the presidency of FIFA. He's a sharp character. He knows his business since leaving football. He's a very successful businessman, and he's just one of a number of people that will be contemplating, putting their name forward if indeed Michel Platini, falls foul of any kind of a disciplinary process or is ruled out for some technicality. There are a number of people in there that are all waiting to try and take over from Sepp Blatter.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it'll be interesting as the days go on, because there will be more names. It'll be interesting to see if Ginola comes back into the equation. He dropped out, but no, I think there'll be other names who'll fancy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who'd have thought? Ramon Vega. Next we'll have Rafael putting himself forward for the candidacy as well. After the break, we are going to talk about nominees for the Ballon d'Or. Are you a Messi or a Ronaldo fan, or is there someone else that you think is going to win it when eventually the winner's announced on, I think it's January the 11th of next year? There's a whole host of names. We'll be asking you to give us your thoughts on who you think's going to win the Ballon d'Or. We'll also get the thoughts of Andy McLaren, not only on the World Footballer of the Year, we're also going to get Andy's thoughts on Dundee United. His old team, can Mixu get them off the bottom of the table and turn their fortunes around? That's all to come in the next part of the football show. Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, joined by former Dundee United player Andy McLaren. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, giving you your daily fix of football on STV. And we have a boot room guest who's certainly hoping that his old team Dundee United can get off the foot of the table.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Andy McLaren is alongside Alan Ruff. Andy, let's cut to the chase. Dundee United, bottom of the table. There's never a team that's too good to go down.
No, listen, I think they're in trouble. Mixer's obviously went in there, and there's a lot of good young players, but we spoke about it with Falkirk. I think what they're lacking is a bit of experience. And even when we Jim was up there and shoving young boys in every week, there was a core of experienced guys, and you look about and there doesn't seem to be that up there. Doesn't seem to be that kind of leadership.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what they're missing at the moment.
I just wonder what type of player you would bring in. I mean, you guys only get your heads around that. What type of player needs to come in, Ruffy? Is it somebody that can, drag them through some tough games from the middle of the park, or is it somebody that needs to, bolt the door at the back for Dundee United?
Well, I think the mainstay, not the mainstay because they've a lot of quality players, but Rankin and Payton in there, were two experienced players who held everything together with everything else in front of them, but everything else in front of them got moved on. Yeah. And I think they just took it for granted. Yeah, we've got another bunch of players coming through, the Connellys, and we think they'll just fit in. But a lot of pressure on young kids coming in and having to replace the people who have just left. And the people who just left were quality, Mackay-Stevens and Armstrong. So that was asking a big of these to perform week in, week out, and it just hasn't performed. I think Mixer will go for players with not lots of experience, but experience of what it's like to get themselves out of where they are. I don't know about you, I watched the game at the weekend there, and Billy Mackay was making runs, and he was making runs before people were playing him. He seemed to be just that wee step ahead. Yeah. This is what I want to be. And he was making the run, but the ball hadn't been played to him. So I think they need experienced players on the wavelength of the players that are there just now. I mean,
I'm asking you to cast your mind back, Andy. Do you remember those days when you were breaking into the United side? Were there players there that you were helped by? You just thought they were invaluable?
Yeah. I mean, we had a strong midfield. We had guys like Bowman, David Bowman, and Jimmy Mack, and Billy McKinley, Badger, and Malpass, guys like that. Good, experienced guys who had been through the course and knew what it was like to come through the club as well as a young boy. So you always had that core, with maybe 2 or 3 young boys put in. But as Ruffy spoke about it, the players that they've left, it's going to be hard if you keep selling players. Now, I think that the important one for the way United's play was Sifgate leaving, because I think they played the ball up. I mean, he held it in and let players get up to him. I think they've took that out, and obviously Mackay-Stevens and Armstrong as well. You take 3. I mean, they've went and enhanced Celtic's team. So they've obviously took a good part of United's team.
Another thing as well, it's okay having a good crop of young players, and these boys that are there, the young boys that are there, have got ability. There's no doubt about that. but throw them into when you're in the middle of the league, throw them in when you're bottom of the league. They're not going to express themselves, they're not going to feel comfortable, they're not going to go into looking forward to games and showing us what they can do. When they're down there, they're surviving, and the pressure on them is just too much for them.
I think at United as well, they wouldn't sell 3, you know, they'd maybe sell 1 every couple of years, so they weren't weakening the team that much, you know. That was their 3 main players last year. Let's not get about the bush. That was a 3 top players. That's where probably all our goals were coming through, all our creativity. So you take that out, I think any team would have struggled. And it's all right saying you've got good young boys, but you need to kind of get eased in as well. You know, you can't just put them in and expect them to play 35 games and have that consistency. Yeah,
the big problem, of course, is January transfer window is a way away. Somehow Mixu's got to try and orchestrate and get something out of the bunch that he has inherited.
Just hang in, basically, to January. Make sure the gap's not too big. That's the danger in it, if it gets any bigger. But Mixu, I'm sure, he'll have looked at the squad before he's went there. And he'll know what he's got to work with. He's been in there a week or 2 now, so maybe he's had that time on the training ground as well to get his message across about the way they want to play, and maybe he'll change a few things tactically as well. Maybe he can just shuffle the pack a wee bit. As I say, use his experience. He's been in this position before. So I'm sure. I think the important thing is not to panic. It's still October. You know, Partick Thistle. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about Partick Thistle being in the same position. They won 2 in the bouncing. So it can quickly change, you know, especially young kids, you know, 1-1 and confidence goes up again, and then they can go on a wee run.
Yeah. Who have you picked, or who do you think will be in the relegation?
I thought at the start of the season, I thought Motherwell would be back in there. Partick. And I thought Hamilton as well, but I think they've surprised everybody with the start they've had. They just keep surprising people, don't they? So I think it's hard to call, you know. I think it's still far too early as well to be saying anyway. I mean, in October, you seen Ross County last year. Ross County, January, February, they were away, you know, and Jimmy Mack came in, and his changes, I don't think. They didn't kick in right away either. You know, it took time to get his system and that across. So I think it's a wee bit early to be writing Dundee United off as well. Yeah.
Let's look at the nominations for the Ballon d'Or. They've been released. There they are, lads. Aguero, Bale, Benzema, Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, Ibrahimovic, Iniesta, Toni Kroos, Lewandowski, Mascherano, Messi, Thomas Müller, Neuer, Neymar, Pogba, Rakitic, Arjen Robben, Rodriguez, Sanchez, Suarez, Toure and Vidal. Now, dare I suggest to you, Ruffy, just out of left field, maybe not Messi pushing Ronaldo this time, Thomas Müller?
Yeah, I was just going to say that there. I think Thomas Müller is the person that's shown us that he's got a bit of skill, he's world class, there's no doubt about that. But Ronaldo keeps scoring hat-tricks, you know, in that league, and he's going to be up there as well. But I think as it is just now, I would say Müller and Ronaldo. Obviously Messi's injured just now, but he'll come back and have maybe 2 or 3 hat-tricks and just put himself back in the frame.
Well, I was going to say, do you think Müller can win it?
Yeah, I think he can, but it depends on Ronaldo. Ronaldo is magnificent. Every time you pick up a paper, you see he scored something unbelievable. But as it is just now, Müller's got the limelight of the Champions League. You know, again, he's got another big game tonight. If he was to do something special in that, I think he'll be in everybody's lips.
Yeah, he's broken all records at Real Madrid, which is no mean feat when you consider the quality, Andy, that they've had at the Bernabeu.
The numbers is incredible when you see the amount of goals he's scored. It's phenomenal. You know, his record. It's more than won a game, which today is just
frightening.
It's frightening. But I mean, on that, I think Robert Lewandowski's a wee outsider shout as well. Especially, I mean, last week I think he scored about 50 goals in the 1 week. He scored something ridiculous. He scored something.
I think he's run off the boil. I don't think he noticed it at the weekend.
No, it isn't off. That's a fine game.
I mean, I think it was something like 14 in 6 games.
Aye, it was something
incredible. 14 in 6.
He scored. So I think that's a wee kind of name for. No, I don't think it'd be too much a shock if he was in the top 3 at that. But I think he's done a really good year as well.
Yeah, at that level though, the incentive is if Messi's winning 4, I've got to try and win 4. If he breaks a record, I've got to try and break it. It's a sensational battle. Yeah. It's not so much who you like or who's the best in Messi and Ronaldo. We should be celebrating the fact that we're getting a chance to watch them in this generation, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, got to get your thoughts, lads, then on Arsenal. Can they defeat Bayern Munich, Thomas Muller and all?
I think they can, but will they is another question. That depends on what Arsenal turn up. They certainly have got the players to play that style of football. I think they'll get something out of the game tonight. I don't know if they'll win it, but I can see them getting something.
They're really in trouble, aren't they? I think, and this is when Arsenal, they tend to lose games you expect them to win and win games you expect them to lose. Listen, Bayern Munich are obviously big favourites for the night, but it wouldn't surprise you if Arsenal win. I think they need 4 points off Bayern Munich in the next 2 games just to actually stay in the Champions League. But listen, it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you think is going to win the Champions League briefly?
Bayern Munich.
Yeah, okay. Thought we'd get it. Always good to look back on it, Ruffy, and then chastise him if he makes a back end of it. Who did you choose, Ruffy?
Bayern as well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. After switching from Chelsea, may I add. Anyway, it's hard to believe. On this day, Ruffy signed for Partick Thistle. Even he didn't remember it, but we thought we'd take him on a trip down memory lane. It was great to have Andy McLaren. I remember him when he had black hair. That's how long ago it was, but it was good to have him on. From Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching.